is a vastly unequal place.
Es un país segregado.
Mexico has managed to produce the third richest man in the world, when this is a country where 17 million people live on less than $2 a day.
Hay el México de arriba y el México de abajo.
And up to now, they have coexisted in an uneasy tension.
The presidential elections are over, but the real battle over Mexico's future is being fought outside of electoral politics. Two powerful figures have launched other kinds of political campaigns here. The multi-billionaire Carlos Slim and the guerrilla leaders of Comandante Marcos are facing off in the struggle between the Mexico above and the Mexico below. Carlos Slim is the richest man in Latin America and third richest man in the world. He made most of his fortune off of the controversial privatization of the national telephone monopoly, Telmex, which he bought for less than 1/20th of its current value. Slim has used his profits from Telmex to build a massive economic empire that stretches across Latin America and into the US and Canada.
We've witnessed a massive transfer of wealth from the citizens of this country into his coffers.
Steaming Mexico, other invasion. When Mexico is spoken of in the U.S., it is usually as the place from which tens of thousands of Mexicans immigrate annually. The view from the other side may be somewhat different, as U.S. businesses like the huge store chain Walmart insinuates itself into the nation's urban and suburban areas, growing like kudzu in the summer sun. In the ancient city of Teotihuacan, where some 2,200 years ago, a city of 500,000 people lived, the center of its spiritual and court life was the Pyramid of the Sun, where Aztec priests decided life or death. The ancient city covered an area larger than Rome. It was the seat of the rule of the god Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent. Today, in the shadow of the pyramid, sits the latest Walmart, one of 687 superstores throughout Mexico. Among nationalistic Mexicans, the image of Walmart in the shadow of ancient Aztec ruins is deeply disconcerting. Rafael, a native of the Gulf region of Veracruz, said, "It is like an invasion, a new conquest." As Walmart and her corporate sisters have invaded Mexico for cheap labor, so too have the anti-labor and anti-indigenous attitudes from the U.S. In San Salvador Atinco recently, a cop riot attacked flower vendors in an attempt to drive out small businesses to open the way for bigger businesses. In their frenzy, the police killed a 14-year-old boy, Javier Cortez Santiago. Another boy, 16 years old, is reportedly in critical condition. In the press statement issued within minutes of the widely televised attack, an angry Zapatista Subcomandante Marcos made the following statement. "Years ago here, in the Plaza of the Three Cultures, there was a massacre, and the government at the time said the army had been attacked. And a long time passed before someone asked what the army was doing at a student rally. And now it doesn't even occur to those communication media, including the radio, to ask what the armed forces, the police, were doing in San Salvador Atenco. And this alliance was happening between the PRD and PRI to get rid of some flower vendors because the mayor of Texcoco thinks they made the city ugly because he wants to put in a commercial center, a Walmart there in Texcoco, and the small businessmen bother him. Now the PRD, allied with the PRI at the state level, and now also allied with the PAN at the federal level, is going to have to notice all of this death. Subcomandante Marcos announced that the Zapatista Army of National Liberation was put on red alert. His reference to the earlier army attack was to the events of 1968, when Mexican students were massacred by the government. Several weeks ago, 800 army troops attacked Sicarza steel mill in Michoacan, Mexico, before being repelled by some 500 workers. Steelworkers seized the plant after the government announced plans to remove their elected president. Also, workers are protesting the police killing of 2 steel workers Jose Luis Castillo Zuniga and Hector Alvarez Gomez, who were among the 70 other workers hurt when cops used tear gas and live fire to try to retake the plant. The struggles in Mexico have long and complex histories, but almost all of the present unrest can be traced to NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. Although promised to Americans as a boon to the economy, it has wreaked havoc on both sides of the border. If it has been a boon, it was to big business, which is getting products made at cheaper cost and therefore making bigger profits. The war against labor cannot be and has never been just a national one. While the NAFTA Pact was sold as free trade, in reality it meant freedom for businesses, yet difficulties for labor. In Mexico, Walmart pays its non-union workers 13 pesos an hour, or about $1.20. Sounds almost free, all right. From Death Row, this is Mumia Abu Jamal.
These commentaries are produced by Noel Hanrahan for Prison Radio.
Mexico's moved from the perfect dictatorship to the perfect monopoly because in the past the ruling party had a perfect monopoly on power. Year after year it won elections, albeit in a fraudulent way, and now we're witnessing the perfect monopoly that's also legitimized by getting politicians and public sector officials and political parties to back the Chapultepec Accord, to give Mr. Slim societal support for the predominant position that he has in the Mexican economy.